Hey, welcome to Victims and Villains. This is a channel where we talk about mental health through pop culture. My name's Captain Nostalgia, and I have the privilege of being joined by Nathan Ludwig and Chad Farmer, who won our second place in this year's short film screenwriting competition. Their movie is called Love Post Mortem. How are you gentlemen doing?
I'm doing great. Awesome.
Yeah, hanging
Pretty
in there,
cool.
still alive, can't complain.
Yep.
Well, these guys are the directors, programmers. I don't know what their official titles are. They're also our friends from uh Genre Blast and Grindsploitation, which we've covered several times in the past. I was very delighted to that you guys submitted to our festival. This short film is bonkers. And I expect nothing less from you guys. Can you guys talk about just give us like a synopsis of what this movie is about?
Uh, you want me to start? I guess I can start. It's about a guy. His. I guess you could say his history is kind of shady. Uh, he. I guess you go say it's that he's sort of like a hitman, and he stumbles into a bar one night, and he's pretty much just regretted doing what he's doing, and he just stumbled. He goes into this bar and meets the lady that's working behind it, and he's just regretting life, ready to kill himself. Uh, she saves him. They fall in love, madly in love. They get married. Everything's good, for a little while. And she mysteriously, I don't know, should I give too much away or I don't guess it really matters, does it? Yeah. But
Oh,
anyway,
I don't.
she is killed. I'll leave it at that. She's killed, and well, he comes in and finds her, and her last words to him are, "Don't leave me. Don't leave my side. You are my ever love." Along that lines. So he doesn't. So her funeral comes around, and he's there at the funeral home, and people are coming in to see her, and like all these kind of weird looking people that shouldn't be there. And he just keeps sitting there, waiting and waiting. And he refuses. I mean, everybody's gone. He refuses to leave her side. And so eventually, it's just him sitting there at the casket with his wife, and the funeral director. They he keeps he keeps trying to get him to leave. He's like, "No, I'm not going anywhere." And then all of a sudden, somebody just comes up behind him and takes him out, and so he ends up at a one of those 24-hour restaurants, and then he decides to come back. And when he comes back, he sneaks in through the window because again he wants to be there with his wife. He doesn't want to leave her side. When he goes in there and hears like these strange moaning sounds, and he doesn't know what it is, so he goes up and finds out that there's like this. The funeral director is pimping out dead bodies to like all these delinquents, to all these delinquents, psychotic, sick fucks, and he's and they're eventually they're wanting to his his wife is like the hottest thing there. So all these, they're trying to get at his wife, like all these sick, I mean, just the worst of the worst, slime balls. I mean, just degenerate, and he has to fight off like all these degenerates from trying to have sex with his dead wife, and that's pretty much
The long and short of it,
long and short of it. Yes.
it's
And then there's a whole lot in there, and then you find out more about the funeral director, and his son, believe it or not, is more demented and sicker than the funeral director. And you really, that's yeah, it goes from bad to worse. So yep, that's it. And I know this is kind of far fetched, but I come up, I really loosely, I come up with the idea. I had my oldest brother. He passed away when he was 18, and I know this is just totally. And I remember my dad. When he did, he sat there by his casket the whole night, and he refused to leave. I mean, up until the next morning. And that's kind of, and then, I mean, after that, it just kind of, that's where I originally got the idea. And I thought, well, what's the worst thing that can happen? I know that kind of seems that maybe like a downer for everybody, but that's originally how the story started. So,
And so when I was doing the second pass on it, because that's how we usually write together, he'll do the first draft or whatever, and then I'll read through it, and then I'll do the second full draft of it. So when I was reading it, I love Korean revenge films, Korean thrillers. So that was kind of my motivation to want to write this with him. Is I pictured this as kind of an homage to really dark, really violent Korean revenge thrillers where a guy is just like, I saw the devil and stuff like that, where it's just this guy and he's on a mission and it's a tragic one and he's going to do whatever it takes in order to see it done. And there's a couple more twists that I don't want to reveal, especially the end. But the one of the reasons why Chad and I work so well together is we have no trigger warnings, and nothing offends us. Like I
no.
I respect other people that have those limits. That's fine for them, but for us, we don't. That's not one of our hangups. Our hangups are usually like character or dialogue or something, or like what direction we're gonna go with the character, how far we're gonna take it, as far as how long this character is gonna be in the screenplay. But we're on the same page when it comes to like violence and stuff like that, which is why it's so fun to write with him.
And Nathan, you said this one time, and I thought and this is when I write, and then you do your thing. I think this puts it best with us. I shit it out, and he flushes it. So there you go.
Basically.
Now, I mean, evidently, if he writes something, it's not that way. But when I write something, and then because Nathan is great at dialogue, that's one of the things that I love about him is I think he's better at dialogue than I am. So
and Chad's characters are so scummy and so awful, but you kind of like them at the same time, because Chad has heart. He's a really good person, even though he's into some really messed up stuff. So when he writes these characters, on the surface, they're very sleazy, they're very awful, but they have heart to them. Like you can tell that it's coming from a good place, which is why his stuff is so much fun to read, for me at least.
Thank you.
Yeah, a lot of having known both of you guys for a few years now, and like Nathan, I also read Love Potion, so like I also like understand your writing style. This was like you guys, this is like definitely felt like it took you guys' love for the different genres and really brought them in. Like I reading this, like I didn't even think about like Korean like films, like those dark and gritty ones, but like hearing you kind of put that in there. And one of the things that I know for you being a cinephile, Nathan, like I'm kind of curious, like what are the influences that inspired you guys to kind of go after, subjects like necrophilia, but also at the same time to kind of like bring in some of those Asian influences?
Well, Chad is definitely really into the sleazy grindhouse exploitation, really nasty stuff from the 70s and 80s. And I'm really into the dark, somber, kind of really like just very emotional, dark horror and thriller stuff from like Korea, or something like a Take Shelter, or stuff like that, like No Country for Old Men, but like turning that into like a horror kind of thing. And Chad likes, I mean, I'll let him speak for himself, obviously, but Chad is really into like street trash and stuff like that, and like really exploitational stuff. And I think that meshes well, because he'll put in the kitchen sink basically, and he'll put in everything, and I'll go, all right, but we can make this sad, or we can make this a little bit more poignant, we can add some dialogue to make this character seem a little bit more fleshed out. So it definitely works for both of our benefit. I think we're stronger when we write together.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, one of my big influence, one of the movies that was a big influence for me for this story, it's a movie called Living Doll. Are you familiar with that movie, Josh? Nathan?
Okay. I've heard of it. I'm surprised I haven't seen it.
Okay, so what it is this guy, he works in a, it's been a while since I've seen it. I want to say he works in a hospital, but there's a morgue in the hospital, and he's just totally obsessed with this girl. And he doesn't really know how to talk to her, ask her out, and she pretty much, doesn't give him the time of the day. But I want to say that she has like this really bad car wreck, and she dies, and she comes to the morgue for him to prep her, and he's so in love with her that he kidnaps her and takes her back to his house and just leaves her on the couch. And as the movie progresses, she just decomposes, and it just gets worse as the movie goes on. So I would probably say, I know this may sound a little morbid, but that's probably one of my favorite movies about necrophilia. So
there's a sentence I never thought I'd hear anyone say.
Yeah, not that I'm into that, but that was the movie that I thought about the most, and I guess there's so many movies out there about hitmans and assassins, and it seems like all of them have just been way overdone. So I wanted to bring, I guess, a dark, morbid element to it, and I just kind of meshed those two together.
There's definitely a grindhouse feel to this, and I could definitely kind of feel that, like, that's your voice, Chad. And
yes, definitely.
Like, also, like, going back to like having read Love Potion 666, like understanding like how you write, Chad or Nathan, like I also like can understand your voice in this as well.
Yeah.
You guys, I think, were, out of all the submissions we got this year, were the only like collaborative duo, and you guys have kind of talked about the process for how you guys work together, pooping and flushing.
Mm-hmm.
What is, like, when it comes to like stories like this one in particular, how do you guys kind of put your own like personal touch into it, but like still like maintain that, like, this is Chad's voice, this is Nathan's voice, but like still bringing a little bit of that vulnerability to these characters?
To me, I think it goes back to our styles. Nathan is more into like the action and the dark brooding, the dramas, and me, I'm into more like the exploitation. So I feel like what I bring to it is I like for this one, I set up like this scenario, and then I may put my dialogue, and then I'll put my style of dialogue in, and then I'll give it to Nathan, and then he always, I mean, you may see a line of dialogue, and half of it may be mine, and the other half of it may be his, and I think I'm more. It's like it's like you said. I think I bring like more of the sleazy exploitation aspect of it, and he brings more of like the again, just like that edgy, dark feeling to it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
If there's a moment in the screenplay where you're like, oh, that was really messed up, that's probably Chad. And if there is like a very poignant moment, that was probably me. So
there you go. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say.
But that's not to say that I can't come up with some really gross stuff.
Oh, no, Nathan can bring it too.
That's not to say that Chad doesn't come up with some really good lines. His book that just came out, Devil Won't Let Me Be. There's a line or two in that book. I laughed so hard I woke up my whole house because it was so, and I can't even repeat what the line is on here, even on this podcast. So, but that's a plug for your book, Devil Won't Let Me Be. It's a werewolf, awesome high school werewolf bullied teen movie. That's a throwback to 80s movies.
Nice.
But yeah, he just goes for like the hobo with a shotgun kind of dialogue, and I go for more like Kevin Smith kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
we kind of meet in the middle.
Well, you guys wrote this together, and so the final question we're asking all of our filmmakers in the screenwriting competition is, where are the chances of this actually becoming a full-fledged short film?
Believe it or not, we are going to turn it into a
Full-fledged novel,
yeah,
like a big novel, like a chunky novel.
yeah, yeah.
It's gonna be a full-on paperback extravaganza. If it gets turned into a movie, that'll be awesome. But right now we're focusing on the book.
Yeah.
We're kind of going over the early stages of outlining that, and maybe we'll turn that into a feature screenplay after that. We'll see.
And I think more than likely we're going to change the name of it too, because the original title was Love Postmortem, but Nathan has the book Love Potion 666. So
We're trying not to we keep getting the titles mixed up when we're talking to each other. So we're gonna come up with a different somber kind of title for that.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
That's awesome to hear, because I feel like this world, like, Chad, you talked about it originally, kind of laying out the synopsis for it. It definitely has a lot of like emotion and like a lot of like character exploration that like you could definitely like there's definitely room to where you could see this world expand. And then, kind of like the sleazier side of it too, like I think it is also just ripe for exploration as well.
I'll tell you a quick little funny story. I have a niece. She's 31, and she's one of my biggest fans. And I started telling her about the story. I mean, I was just like really laying it on with the love story, and just getting real sappy about it and all this kind of stuff. I mean, she was just really getting into it. And then I hit her with the necrophilia. She's like, "What is wrong with you?" And then she.
But wait, there's more.
But wait, yeah, there you go. There's more.
Well, gentlemen, I thank you guys so much. Congratulations on taking home the second place in our first ever screenwriting competition. I am definitely excited to see what you guys do next. But where can people find you online? Where can people pick up the books?
Go
go
ahead,
Chad. Oh no.
My stuff is on Amazon. It's Devil Won't Let Me Be. You can find it on there as an audio book or as a novella. I've got another one coming out in August with D&T Publishing. Earth Truckers Are Easy. I don't know if we probably don't have time for that. So I'll just, and then I've got another little short. I got another little short story on Godless called Into This World. It's about a suicide cult that worship aliens. So that's my stuff. So I'll hand it over to Nathan.
Oh yeah, you can always check us out at the Genre Blast Film
Yeah.
Festival.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
We play every year, just like with the Horrific Hope. We're at the Alamo Drafthouse, Winchester. Great venue for a film festival, lots of space. It's super awesome. And my book, Love Potion 666, you can get that on Amazon or Barnes and Noble from D&T Publishing. It's an awesome novella. I got a new short story collection that's out called The Comfy Cozy Nihilist, a handbook of dark fiction, which is like a rainbow of really messed up short stories. If you're looking for something dark and funny and weird and messed up, there's about 11 stories in there that'll make you laugh and make you cry and scare the crap out of you. So that's on Amazon and Barnes and Noble too. And
there's a really raunchy one in there too that was my favorite.
Yes, there's a story about if you thought Multiplicity wasn't horny enough, then the last story in the book is just for you.
I was laughing so hard I was crying. I mean, I could not get enough of that story.
Well, you guys can also check out a couple months ago, Nathan stopped by, talked about the writing process of Love Potion number 666. We talked about The Thing. We'll link the video version of it here on YouTube. And if you guys are like me, like audio podcast, we'll also have that link down in the description below. Also, down there, you guys will get links to where you guys can pick up both of these gentlemen's books. Thank you, Chad.
Yes.
Thank you, Nathan.
Thank you.
And can I make one more plug? Can I make one more plug, John?
Yeah, go for it, of course.
Nougat Underground Film Festival. It was the one that I used to run, but I kind of turned it over to a friend, Keith Nolan. So if you short films, feature films, pretty much anything, any genre, please submit to it. Nougat Underground. It's on Film Freeway. That's it.
All right, we'll have links for that down
Yes,
in the
please,
description as
please do
well.
that, Josh. Thank you.
It's a great film festival. I got a chance to check it out when it came and stopped in
Yes.
Yes.
the Alamo. It was a great time. It was the only time I've ever walked out of a film festival because the film was too extreme for me to handle.
Was it lifelike?
No, it was
Extraneous measures?
no.
Matters. Or yeah. Was it
That
feature
one,
or short?
it was a short. I think it
Okay.
maybe, I don't know. I'll have to think about it and let you guys
All
know.
right.
But anyways, if that's anything, any consolation, go check out these guys out. Go check out their books. Join us for Nuga Film Festival, Genre Blast, and until next time, remember to stay classy.
Thank you, Josh.